Alright, so in the last video we have prepared basic structure of our project, and now we have to move on and start building 3D cube. In order to make working process more convenient, at first we will build one part of our cube. So let's comment cube 2 and cube 3 out for a while. Also, we don't need those controls at this time, so let's comment them out as well. Alright, first of all, as always, let's define common styles for all elements. Let's get rid of default margin and padding, select elements using asterisk, and set margin and padding as 0. Next, I'm going to set as a background of container full screen image. So select container. First of all, let's define height and width. As a height, I'm going to use 100 VH. Then define a width, make it 100%. And then we need background. I'm going to use here linear gradient, use here black colors, right? RGBA 0, 0, 0, opacity 0.6, and then again RGBA 0, 0, 0, opacity 0.8. Next, let's insert here URL, select image, bg.jpg. And then we need to use here value no repeat. Lastly, let's make background size as cover. Alright, so as you see, we have here full screen background, and now I'm going to work on viewport. The element which we created in order to build 3D environment for cube. So let's select this element, right viewport. First of all, let's define width and height. As a width, I'm going to use 42 viewport width. It means that width of this element should be 42% of viewport width. As for height, let's use here 21 viewport width. Actually, we are using here viewport width for height as well because it will allow us to make cube responsive in very flexible way. Those two properties will be connected to each other. For example, if width of viewport is decreased, then size of height will be decreased accordingly. In order to see it clearly, let's give to viewport background color, make it white. Then inspect the page, switch responsive mode. So if we make window smaller, then you will see that width and height of viewport are decreasing accordingly. So that was the main goal why we used viewport width for width and height as a measurement unit. Alright, next we need to center viewport perfectly. Let's do that using positions and transform. Make position absolute. Then define top and left properties and assign to them 50%. And lastly, we need transform with translate and with arguments minus 50% and again minus 50%. So as you see, element is placed in the center. And last thing regarding viewport is that we have to create 3D space for cube. For that, as you remember, we need to use property called perspective with the value 1300 pixels. Alright, so we created 3D space. Actually, for now, nothing is changed here, but when we start rotating elements, it will be done in 3D environment. So that's what perspective property can manage. Next, we need to work on cube itself. Select it using common class name, cube. At first, define its width as 100%. In general, each cube should take up 1/3 of viewport because we will have 3 cubes. So as a height, let's write 33 point and write here several 3's. I'm using this value to divide 100%, entire height of viewport equally by 3. Alright, next let's define background color. Make it light gray using CCC. So that's the way how cube is looking at this time. Next thing that I'm going to do is to create a 3D space for viewport's child elements as well. For that, as you know, we need to use property called transform style with the value preserve 3D. Alright, for now we are done with cube and we need to work on its different parts. I mean front, back, left, right, and so on. First of all, I'm going to give some common styles to all those parts. They have common class name, face. Let's define its width and height as 100%. Then change background color. Make it red for a while. So you see how they look. Size of each part is increased and some of them are placed outside of cube. Let's define their position as absolute. And also, in order to manage layout of each part according to their parent element, I mean according to cube, let's assign to it position relative. So as you can see, elements are jumped out from normal flow and they take up same spot in cube. Alright, that's it for now. Next we need to define positions for each part of cube and let's do it in the next video.